Hey boys and girls, so this week we're going to talk about quoting and paraphrasing experts and research. And so first, before we dive into this week's work, I want to point out that last week I allowed some of you to write a couple openings instead of writing an essay. And maybe I wasn't very clear about that, but if there is an option to write an essay and you are capable of it, you should always write the essay. So just to clear up any bumpy spots, any lack of clarification, I would like all of you to write an essay, and that means 3 to 5 paragraphs. For some of you, that means 5 paragraphs. For some of you, that means 3 paragraphs. Try not to go over 500 words. We're looking right in that focused 500-word range. So here are your steps. Step 1, read at least one of the 3 articles in the tip column. So we're going to click here. You're going to click. Here we are at this column. These are great examples. These are short and sweet little essays that all do one thing. They teach you something. Because informational essays really channel your inner teacher voice. And you'll notice that as you are learning about these essays and as you do your research and as you begin to write them. Let's go ahead and go to how to stop biting your nails. I had a friend who was a really bad nail biter. Anyways, how to stop biting your nails. Let's go ahead and read the first few lines together and see what we notice. Learn to resist the urge, says Tara S. Paris, an associate professor of psychiatry and biobehavioral sciences at the University of California, Los Angeles, where she is co-director of the Child OCD Anxiety and Tic Disorders program. Psychiatrists consider nail biting a body-focused repetitive behavior along with things like hair pulling and skin picking. Nail biting tends to begin in childhood and adolescence, but researchers estimate that as much as 30% of Americans are chronic nail biters. Okay, we'll pause there. So I'm going to scoot down to the end, and I'm going to read this last paragraph. And of course, when you're doing this on your own, you are going to read the whole thing, right? Yes. But we are going to scoot down to the end. Keep in mind that putting your hands in your mouth during a viral pandemic increases your infection risk. Oh, yes. During times of high stress, you might see symptoms pop up or worsen, Paris says. That's normal, and you'll just need to practice those competing behavioral skills again. Okay, so I'm noticing there's a quote at the bottom. I'm noticing there's a quote at the top. That's the first thing I notice. I know that's the topic of our assignment this week, so that's something I'm really keeping track of. Let's go ahead and go back to our instructions. Number 2, spot the patterns. What do you see happening in each article? I'm noticing in each article they're teaching something. And I'm noticing that, and I go down to this third bullet point, that there's quotes at the beginning of the paragraph and quotes at the end. And as you read through other sample essays, you'll notice that that's a pretty common element. That's an element that repeats itself. So what is the difference between my quotes at the beginning and the end? Let's look. The first one is learn to resist the urge. So the quote is introducing the topic and also introducing the expert who is kind of guiding our research. It looks like this person maybe found one really good resource and is relying on that. And that's absolutely fine for what we're doing. So they introduce the topic with a quote that pulls us in. They say the professor's or the expert's full name and then describes their position. And then we go down, and then one at the end, let's see. During times of high stress, you might see symptoms pop up or worsen, Paris says. So right away, I'm noticing that they're just using the last name. So that's one thing I notice. That's normal, and you'll just need to practice those competing behavioral skills again. So the purpose of my last quote seems to be to give suggestions or advice or kind of guide us onward. So first we're introducing and teaching about the topic, and we're giving tips towards the end. Because if we're teaching something or someone how to do something or teaching someone about something, that last paragraph might be really helpful to put in advice or suggestions for how they can incorporate this information or springboard off of what we taught them and use those skills in their own life. Okay, let's go back to our instructions. Step 3. Now you're going to do this on your own. It's going to be great. Find a question to answer. So I would really like you to choose a different topic. If you only wrote your opening and you would like to take one of those openings, and that topic and expand on it in this week's essay, you may do so. If you wrote a full essay last week, I would like you to choose a different topic for this week. You can choose a topic from your 24-hour journal. You might need to do a little bit of research. I want you to find a topic you're excited about, because if you're excited about a topic, the writing and the research is going to be really easy. Okay? So make sure you're excited. If your stomach doesn't feel bubbly, you're not excited. All right, step 4, do some research. Once you come up with your topic, you are going to go onto different websites. You might look up some YouTube videos. You might ask an expert. Maybe your mom or your dad is an expert on this topic. Maybe your favorite cousin is an expert on this topic. Go ahead and call them and take some notes. Ask them some questions. They can be your expert. They can be your resources. Once you do your research, as you're doing your research, you're going to keep track of your sources in a list or a bookmark folder. And I'm going to show you how to do that right now. So I'm going to move my screen up here a little bit. And let's just say we really like this nail-biting article. So I'm going to put it in my favorites bar. I'm going to go over here. I'm going to click on the star, bookmark, and I don't want it in my other research bookmark folder. I would like it in a different folder. Choose another folder. Other bookmarks. I want to make a new folder. So I'm going to click down here, and you guys actually can't see this. I'm going to move. It says new folder. There we go. Favorite sources. Research. There we go. Excellent. So now when I go down to my bookmarks, you will find that. It might be a little bit different on your computer, but at least once you do that, you'll know how to get back to it. Make sense? Okay. Once you have your long list of sources and your bookmark folder is full of wonderful articles and YouTube videos and interviews and all this wonderful stuff, then you are going to start thinking about how you would teach someone about this topic. You can start by simply, after you read through some of these articles, just brainstorm. Just put all those articles aside, get out your whiteboard, get out your journal, get out a different piece of paper, and just start writing. Write down what you would say if you were in front of the room and you were teaching this information. If your hands can't keep up with your mind, that is a really common situation to be in. Go ahead and get a recorder. You can use one of your parents' phones. If I go, here, I'll show you my phone. So it's called Easy Voice Recorder, like that. Oh my gosh, you can't even see. Easy Voice Recorder. And all I do is I type in my label of my recording and I record. You can do this in a number of different ways. If you don't have any of these resources at home, that's okay. Email me and we'll record it together, or I'll help you keep track of what you're doing, what you're writing while your ideas are flowing. I know that that's a critical piece. Anyways, so once you are in that teaching phase, you're thinking about how you would say it after you read the information, then you're going to write it down. So this is the gray area where we are taking information from our sources. We're taking direct quotes and we're going to incorporate it into our teacher brain writing. You're going to go back to your sources. We're on step 6 right now. You're going to go back to your sources, and I want you to find 2 quotes for the beginning and 1 for the end. Your beginning quote is going to be a quote that introduces your topic. It could be fun, it could be weird, it could be sassy, it can be whatever. Your only goal is to bring in your reader and introduce your expert. Okay? Okay. So you're going to take that quote and you're going to put it over here in your writing, teaching, brainstorm pile. You can do this in a Google Doc. You can do this on a whiteboard. You can just have a piece of paper. I don't really care because it's your process. Then you're going to take your second quote, the one that wraps it all up, that gives suggestions, that springboards your reader from the theoretical part of your writing into real life suggestions and applications. So you're going to go back to your resources and you're going to go to that article where you found your beginning quote. You're going to see if you can find another quote from that same resource that helps you give the reader advice on that topic. If you're not finding it from that same resource, choose a different resource. But just note, if you choose a different resource, you will also need to introduce the expert from that resource. Okay? So decide how much work you want to make for yourself when you do that. It just means that one extra step of introducing that second expert. Okay, so right now in your teaching writing brainstorm pile, you have your writings, you have your kind of brainstorm from when you were first thinking out loud or maybe writing all the stuff down that you remember from reading your sources, and you have your two quotes, your beginning quote and your end quote. So all of that is over here in your work pile. Okay, now you're going to sit down and write. You have all your ideas. You don't need to look at your sources anymore. We're not copying and pasting. They're just over here. They're either in your brain or they're not. They're done. Go to sit down and write. What I recommend is writing this first handwritten. Your writing will benefit. It will. Your brain will benefit. Your hands will benefit. Everyone will be happy. Write it first in your journal. Okay? So you're going to write it in your journal first. And that includes the quote from the expert at the beginning and the end. So you have the quote at the beginning, you have your writing, and the quote at the end. You're going to sit down and you're going to write all of that into your journal. Okay? It might change, but that's okay. The more times you review this information, the better you'll learn it, the better you'll be able to teach it, the better you'll be able to write about it. You're going to write it in your journal, and from there, then you're going to type it up. So there's a lot of steps involved in this, but writing successfully doesn't happen all at once. Once you have it typed up, then I want you to send it to me. This is due on Thursday. I'm going to give you feedback, and then it needs to be polished all the way done on Friday. Clear? Wonderful. Okay, before you send it to me, I want you to read it aloud to at least 2 people. Reading it aloud gives you a chance to catch those little mistakes or just those little awkward sentences that aren't totally thought out very well, or maybe just polish up those little lines. Okay? You're going to read it out loud to 2 people. Once it's all the way polished, then you'll send it to me, and I will still have feedback for you, and then we'll go from there. All right, guys, this isn't easy stuff. Reach out if you need help. There's a lot of great students in your class. You guys are so lucky to have such wonderful classmates. Reach out to each other for help. You should be emailing each other to set up writing conferences with each other. You should be getting feedback from each other. You don't need me to teach you. You have each other. Okay? I'm just here to help you. All right, let me know if you have any questions. This is due Thursday. Good luck.